Whatever you're uncomfortable with, just let me know later.
Hard R.
Oh, okay. Hard R like that R in vodka.
Vodka,
Hey,
yeah.
wait, hold on. I noticed something last night. George, what are we doing right now? We're recording a
Podcast?
say it again.
Podcast? Does it have an R in it too?
Do you hear it?
Well, I hear it now.
Yeah. Almost sound like you said Parkas.
Hey, welcome to Too Hard, Too Fast podcast. The podcast where if you add an extra R, you have to roll it, even if the word doesn't have it. Hey, in this episode, we have the belly, the muscle, and the beard.
I'm the beard.
Right? I could have taken 2 out of 3 of those, so I don't know.
I don't know which ones we like. The crowd can decide for that matter. And this episode, we have the return of Arthur and Lathan. Last time we were here, we talked about Lathan being a bodybuilder. Well, we tried to talk about Lathan being a bodybuilder, and then we just went really off course. In this episode, we're going to talk about something that I feel a little ashamed admitting in public, and then we'll see where the conversation goes from that. Welcome back, guys. Let's sit back, buckle up. Let's go. Too hard, too fast. Boom.
Let's go.
Welcome to Too Hard, Too Fast.
Welcome back
to Too Hard,
Too fast.
Anything that rolls downhill, man.
I mean, old habits die hard, right?
It's the podcast by the people for the people.
Well, I'm going too hard, too fast.
We are double fisted on that ass.
Only here, too hard, too fast. Let's do it.
Welcome back to Too Hard, Too Fast, where if you would like, you can gladly suck it.
Hey.
So welcome everyone to Too Hard, Too Fast podcast.
That's right. Where we go off the rails and George has to worry about it. So here we go.
For the podcast of the century.
Cheers. So, what am I ashamed to admit in public is that
You like clown porn.
I think I would admit to that. I would admit to that before I admit to this. This is how like ashamed I am to admit it. And I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but when I let you know and when Lathan unfreezes, you guys can let me know what you think. See if you guys are afraid to admit it. But I am afraid to admit that I am a wrestling fan in public. Is that bad?
Yeah. No, I kind of feel that like anytime I go to mention that like I'm a wrestling fan, it's almost kind of that hesitation. Like you got to read the room before you say like, yeah, I'm a wrestling fan. And then you have to explain it like, well, I've been since I was a kid.
Yeah. Sorry, Dad. Lathan, how do you feel, man? Like, do you freely just tell people that you're a wrestling fan, or did I just oust you out?
I've gotten more comfortable in saying it later in my years, but yeah, I am. I'm okay with it. And then I have to go into the whole like, well, you know it's fake, right? Like, that's a pretty annoying argument. But I'm like, yeah, it's more choreographed.
That's the argument we'll get into it a little bit. I'm gonna take this off because WWE does not pay me.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a content strike there.
Oh, imagine! Look, I bought that shit, and it costs way too much money for what it is. So it belongs to me now.
I bought the rights to it.
You listening, Vince? I know you're out now.
With your mustache.
Hey, but so yeah, I hate the argument. Is it, it's fake? I was like, dude, come on. I'm not an idiot. Of course it's real.
my coworker, when we were getting ready to go to the Royal Rumble, I was all excited about it and everything, and she goes, well, it's fake, right? And I was like, what's your favorite show on TV? And she's like, Yellowstone. I go, it's fake, right? Well, yeah, but I watch it for the entertainment.
Same.
Well, there you go.
It's like the worst thing, and it's like, you know what? When one of those cowboys takes a bump, they'd use an extra. When a wrestler takes a bump, it's them.
That's all them. Yep.
They are the.
And I get it. Like it's before all those comments, but they practice it. Yes, they practice it, but accidents happen, motherfucker.
Well, you think like actors don't do dress rehearsals? They don't do like they read through. They sit at a table, they read through a script so they don't mess up what they say. Then they go out and they rehearse it out of costume. Then they rehearse it in costume. You know, it's entertainment. It's portrayed as real, just like everything else is, including the NFL. It's portrayed as real, but it's not. It's entertainment. It's a soap opera. You know, my grandma used to watch the novellas and stuff, and you know, I didn't make fun of her for it.
You know, something that maybe like real hardcore wrestlers would hate me for, or like be disappointed in finding out, is that wrestling fans, is that I sometimes will fast forward through some matches just to get to like the talking, because I really like, I get into like the whole talking. I was like, okay, what's gonna happen? Like, what are they gonna say?
That's the entertainment part.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then some of the matches I look forward to more than the talking. I'm like, come on. Okay, just get to the damn match because I know it's going to be fun.
I mean, obviously, the question later on I'm gonna ask is for like your top 5, maybe a little if there's not. But
hey, I wanna pose a question.
Oh, pose 8 seconds.
God damn it, Lathan.
Oh, I guess we know who the muscle is. Was that the thing with Edge and Christian? Was it an 8-second pose? Or did I get that wrong?
5-second pose.
5-second pose.
30. I don't know. Yeah, but I got the reference.
I'm a fan.
All right, so here's back to the wrestling topic, right? Okay. What is your first memory of being a wrestling fan? Like, not as a kid, but as what got you back into it as an adult? We're all in our 30s now. What was it for you that you can remember that was a moment where you like, okay, yeah, I'm in. For me, I'll give you all a chance to think about it. For me,
yeah.
I mean, I was a kid of like Hulk Hogan, and actually I was a bigger fan of the Big Boss Man because he was a cop like my dad. So as a kid, I liked him. My moment where as a teenager, where it kind of clicked for me was the match between Shawn Michaels and Undertaker at Royal Rumble 98. I was over at my friend Ernie Garcia's house, rest in peace. And that was watching that match. I hadn't watched wrestling in a long time. I came back to it and I was like, yeah, this is it. This is going to be, yeah, this is it.
I think for me was, that's interesting. I never heard anybody say like they're a fan of the Big Boss Man. Like, he was very like a good character, but
yeah. And he was a real prison guard. That's why he got the character. A lot of the stuff that I've listened to podcasts and everything back in the 90s with all the real colorful characters and stuff were there. It was an exaggeration of what they did in real life. The Big Boss Man had been a prison guard in Cobb County, Georgia.
I just want to point out, if I'm like messing with my eyes a lot, it's because I'm like having like C4 withdrawals. So just bear with me, okay?
It's definitely not pink eye. Definitely not pink eye.
No, I think for me, it has to be 2 things. It's JR's commentary. Oh my God, he's dead! Kind of thing. And also the Royal Rumble, watching it. So back then, getting pay-per-view, you either had to pay a lot of money or steal it. So my dad being a cop too, we didn't have a lot of money and we couldn't steal. So I always had to like hook up with my friends and go somewhere to watch, either to a friend's house or there used to be a restaurant. Still, I think it still exists, or the sign is still up. It's called the Border Cafe in Eagle Pass, and they used to host pay-per-view events, and especially for wrestling. And I remember we went. I don't remember which event it was, like what year it was. Maybe 98, 96. I don't know, but the whole back room, nobody showed up except for like my group of friends. So it felt like a private party. So we were just going wild. It was the best thing ever. And I think I want to say it was when Stone Cold won. And that's why I was like, Stone Cold is the guy for me.
That was 98. 98 was when he won in 98, 99, or did Vince win in 99?
98 was Stone Cold, 99 was Vince, 90 and in 2000. Stone Cold was on the shelf, and then 2001, I think Stone Cold won again.
Yeah, because that was when 2001 was when he and The Rock
had the last show. All right, WrestleMania X7.
Yeah, was that in Houston?
That was in Houston at the Astrodome. That was my first WrestleMania.
Which WrestleMania? 7? Did you say?
17.
No, it was 17.
Oh, 17. 17.
Or according to the poster, X7 if you say it with its proper pronoun.
Well, you know what? Too hard, too fast. We don't check facts. So if any of those dates are wrong, somebody else can check them.
We're having a whole podcast on wrestling, and we're sitting here like, oh crap! Now I can't remember dates.
Yeah, old man. The old men we are. I mean, it just comes like, well, I was gonna say to that point, like, so that's how I remember the timeline, because historically, you remember that Stone Cold's the only person that's won the Royal Rumble 3 times.
Right.
It was, yeah, and so the last time he qualified for, because in 2000 he was out because he got hit by the car, because Rikishi's fat ass did it for The Rock.
Hit that motherfucker with a car.
Yeah. And so that was Stone Cold going to Houston. That was a big thing with the Limp Bizkit intro and My Way promo. I was like, dude, that was awesome.
One of the best of all time.
Oh man, that whole pay-per-view was stacked top to bottom. And again, like I listen sometimes to Bruce Pritchard's podcast.
Something to wrestle with.
Something to wrestle with him and Conrad Thompson. Makes for entertaining days when I'm selling supplements between customers. But he was saying that there were some other things that should have happened that didn't happen because some people were giving away spoilers on radio shows the night before and stuff. And so, yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Because the WCW was supposed to come out.
Right, and that was right.
All that was happening at the same time.
That was that was after they had bought. That was like the week before WrestleMania.
They had just bought WCW 3 weeks before.
That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Damn.
Yeah.
So,
fun times.
This whole spoilers thing, like I follow now with social media. I follow like different pages, and some pages I don't follow that, you know, Facebook just force feeds down your throat. But so some of them, and I love them for like the behind the scenes stuff that they give you, or like the rumors, and I like that, like the added drama to everything. But there's some of them that will spoil stuff, and I hate it. Like they'll spoil Monday night stuff, Friday night stuff. But recently, us three, we just went to the Royal Rumble here in the great city of San Antonio, Texas. You know that Mick Foley
to me, puppy.
that Mick Foley audience grab. I'm really glad that I didn't see this page's post, because it spoiled the whole Cody Rhodes winning thing, and I would have been so mad if I knew that was, because I had picked them, and this was a conversation. I was like, it's got to be Cody Rhodes. Like, some things are just like, it's got to be Cody Rhodes, but you never know, and that's the fun of it. You never know. They could switch things last minute. Accidents happen. So it would have pissed me off if I would have read that and then that happened. Like, well,
But George, in what you're saying with like, I think that's truly what I love about like the Royal Rumble is leading up to it. All the dirt sheets and shit will say, "Oh, well, there's a rumor that this person may be there, or oh, Stone Cold's going to be there. Oh, The Rock's going to be in it. Oh, this or that." But when you're there, you never really know. And like when we were all sitting there and Booker T's music hit, like I've got it on video. Like you can hear all three of us going, like kind of flipping out on there.
It's always an element of surprise.
Yeah, and that's one of the things in our lives as adults and dads and everything. There's not a whole lot of moments that we have where we truly like completely lose ourselves, where we're like just everything is out there in such a joyous just moment of pure happiness. And I think that's what to me that's what wrestling brings is those moments. And now being a dad, all three of us, we get to enjoy that with our kids. We get to like have that moment that like just like my daughter loved Bray Wyatt when he was the Fiend. Loved him. It was Yowie Wowie. Loved him. And like his music would hit and I'd be in the living room, his music would come on and she would run from her bedroom and run in there, stand there and look at the TV. And that's the kind of stuff that as dads and we truly appreciate those moments with our kids, but we get those moments where we can like truly
yeah. Be mindful kids again.
Yeah. Takes me back to being 13 years old.
And hanging with the buddies. Yeah, I'll watch wrestling with my son, and it does feel sometimes like it's hanging out with the buddies. Other times, like, dude, if you give me an elbow drop again, we're done.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give you the people's elbow.
George, I'm so glad I'm not the only one that has to go through it. Like sometimes in the morning, OJ will beat me to awake, and then it's like, "Hey, let's wrestle," and I'm like, "Hey, can I open my fucking eyes first?" Because and then the next thing I know, he's jumping through the bed, giving me like Trouble in Paradise, like it's Kofi Kingston, and just give me a straight elbow drop.
And I've got that different perspective right now because I've got a daughter. Y'all have got young boys. I've got a daughter with the son on the way here in like 4 weeks. And
cheers.
Be prepared. Be prepared.
Cheers. Yeah, so mine's a different thing. Like Mia truly loves watching. Like she will sit and just watch the women's matches. Like she doesn't care about the drama, the chatting, and all of that. She loves the mat. Like she will just sit. She'll stop playing Barbies and just sit there and watch the women wrestle, which I think is cool as shit. Like, looking at what women are doing in the ring and stuff. And, I think as a girl dad, I'm like, do whatever you want. I don't care. You want to be a wrestler? Cool.
Now it's more badass too, Art, because they have proper representation that's like being an athletic girl as opposed to just being some eye candy. Because, we had the Attitude Era. We had Sable. Everybody had plastic implants and like, you were kind of buying the $39.99 pay-per-view in hopes of a nip slip or just a full-blown booby being out there. But now they actually...
I remember watching one pay-per-view with the squiggles, like the lines, and trying to see like, I know they're having the bra and panty match. I'm like,
exactly.
This is why we don't get it for you.
Exactly. That's kind of the thing. And the watching watching the documentaries and stuff, like during the Attitude Era, they had some really talented women like Ivory. They had Jackie. They had women that were true pro wrestlers that could go. But yeah. They had these women that could have had matches like they have now, but they were kind of typecast in that moment of, the bra and panties, the eye candy stuff. And me, by no means am I like PC bullshit and all that, but it truly is now the women's, after the women's revolution that they had. Like I'm much more happy now having my daughter watch the matches than I would have been in like 2002. Like 2002, she wouldn't have been watching.
Oh yeah, same thing with if I was back then, or they were still doing it now, and my son's watching, I would be like, no, you can't watch this. Like it's not for you. It's not age appropriate. But now it's like, no, these women are doing like some crazy stuff that it's like, yeah, this is cool stuff. Just like the guys, they're flipping over and doing crazy things. It's like this is like athletic stuff that you can watch. And I mean, every now and then I know like there's a little bit of like extra added to it, but same with the guys. I think it's at a good level of things. And I think back then, like we were just kids, so we were just trying to watch what we were not supposed to watch, you know? Oh,
Listen, it was a different time back then too. Like Jerry Springer was cool. Like it was the late '90s, early millennium was like completely different night and day. Like there's a lot of watch back then that would get absolutely canceled if we thought about putting on TV today. Like,
oh,
yeah,
100%.
Like remember when DX did blackface when they were when they had
With the Nation.
Yeah. And like X-Pac came out full blown like a big chunk of charcoal, pretending to be Mark Henry. We would absolutely not be able to do that today.
And he comes out and he's pretending to be Mark Henry, and X-Pac being tiny, pretending to be Mark Henry. He's wearing like an umpire vest, so it's all puffed out, and he's in straight up blackface with like a Soul Glow mullet on, and he gets the mic and he goes, "Hey, hey, hey." Oh God, it was so bad.
Oh, it was so hilarious.
But again, you know what? You think about it too, like current, like modern stuff, that would not be acceptable. No. But there was nothing about it that was racial, like they weren't playing a racial stereotype. They were just trying to look like the people they were pretending to be.
And just making fun of the whole faction in themselves.
Right. Which, hindsight, it's like people talk about it now where they're like, oh, they were in blackface. Well, yeah, but they weren't being a caricature representing black people. They were trying to make fun of these individual people, and they were pretending to be them.
Yeah, and they just happened to be black.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a big old chunk of charcoal. That got me. Yeah, I meant that.
Lathan, as a kid watching that, did that even cross your mind like as offensive?
Not at all. Like it was hilarious in the moment because it was just like it was just like a super exaggerated variation of like making fun of somebody. Like when Triple H came out, he had like Triple H had the toy Intercontinental title on. It had the shitty ass Versace shirt on, making fun of The Rock. And then the Road Dogg was pretending to be D-Lo, and then Mr. Ass was Kama Mustafa at the time. Like it was just hilarious. Yeah, it was just hilarious. It was made for like what it was. They were making fun and talking shit about another faction they were going up against, and that's all it was. Like there was no extra connotation that was thought about in that moment. But as an adult in hindsight, like I'm like, oh, that was blackface. But it was funny. Like you didn't think about it.
So this might be a little controversial, but I need to ask this question because I just recently had to have the talk with my son. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, it's still about wrestling. And he walks away. Lathan, I promise you know about this.
Right. You've got kids. I know you know.
For that controversial question, I want to know, when will you have that talk with your little one and let them know the truth about wrestling, that everything's practiced. It's, some things are fake, things like that. Because I will let you know. I will let you know straight off the bat, since I'm putting you on the spot. Since the Royal Rumble here in San Antonio, Texas, I've my son has gone wild with wrestling. He does promos. He cuts promos. He's an Uso fan, so he's part of the Usos. I wake up to, getting beat up by him and getting swanton bomb on me. I had to pull him to the side and I told him, look, you need to know that these guys, they're characters. They're playing a part. They probably don't hate each other. Some of them probably do, but for the most part, they probably hang out afterwards. But a lot of the moves, they're practice, and they try not to hurt each other as much as you think they do. And a lot of the problems, it's not real. It's all scripted, just like any show we watch together. And it kind of broke them a little bit. Like I felt so bad because
Just told him that Santa Claus doesn't exist, bro.
I wasn't gonna go. He doesn't know that yet, motherfucker.
But he's right there.
That's
when you let them know that it's not real. I mean, the next step is, what, Easter Bunny? Yeah. No. What Santa?
Okay, so you guys gave me ugly looks when I was talking about that, because it was like a hardcore conversation to have. But needless to say, he's still a fan. He still cuts promos. But it was like that change came into him. Was like, oh, motherfucker, kind of thing. Like, oh, So okay, Art, you've had the conversation.
Yeah, I had to, because Mia was such a fan of The Fiend that we got a message from daycare one day. It's like, Mia and a friend had an argument and she tried to put her fist in his mouth. I was like, she's trying to do the mandible claw. She's trying to do the mandible claw. So we had to have that conversation where it's like, well, baby, no, they're really, she's at that point, she's trying to figure out what's real life and what's not. Where, like, she really likes the show Texas Law. Y'all ever seen that with the game wardens? So it's like it's like cops. It's like cops, but they follow Texas game wardens. And she loves that show because of the animals and stuff and everything. So it's like, okay, yes, baby, that's real life. Wrestling is real people, but not real life. Trying to explain that to a 4-year-old's hard as hell. But explaining to her like, look, you can't do these moves to your friends. Like,
and that's what I was afraid of. I was like, I don't, because my son can be pretty strong, and some of the stuff that he does is like, it hurts me. So like, I don't want him to do it to some other kindergartner. I had to say, I was like, no, you can't do that, because if you don't do it right, it can actually hurt somebody. So don't do that. We can still play and do that, because I didn't want that phone call to him trying to give the people's elbow or
give me a hell yeah.
Yeah, or the things they say too, because yes, because he'll cut the promos, hear it, and it's like, oh no, you can't say that, you can't say that.
No, I don't see, and I don't need any help with that. Yeah, we don't need any help with that, because when Mia was in the 3-year-old class, we got a call one day from school saying, Mia, today she decided that she was going to get all of her friends and tell them not to listen to the teacher. And then she got up and stood on the table and they were yelling. And then she flipped over the table. Like, she got down and picked up the table and flipped it. And then she threw a chair at her teacher when they were trying to, she's already got some leadership.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah.
She like turns over to her best friend. Get the tables.
So Lathan, when are you gonna have that talk with LJ?
I mean, I guess at this point, you kind of have to have the talk. Well, LJ's a little bit different. So he spends a lot of time on YouTube and he'll watch. There's a couple of channels he'll watch where like they get action figures together and they'll like recreate like this fantasy booking. And so he watches that, and then of course YouTube turns into autoplay, and then now we're watching a dirt sheet channel all of a sudden. And so he doesn't really put two and two together to a certain extent. But then he'll ask me something, and I'm like, well, this is because they do this, and this is because they do that. And, you know, it makes for a better storytelling because it's a story that you're telling, right? And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then we'll just kind of go on about our day. But like fancy booking with his wrestlers and stuff. And like, I'm like, I'll listen to him. I'll be playing on my phone or sending the email. We're doing some research for something for work. And then I hear him and like, he's like, here comes Brock Lesnar to help out Rey Mysterio. And then Dominic comes out of nowhere with the 619. I'm like, man, he's actually more into it than I was. To be fair though, he's been blessed to accumulate like decades of people's collectible wrestlers from his uncles, and like every time he goes to like or it's a birthday, 3 new wrestlers, and like I just thank God that my actual credit card isn't linked to my Amazon account because he goes through there and he shops for new wrestlers every day. I think the last total I looked at was like it was over $2,000 in just different rare wrestlers that he's found scrolling through there. Yeah, it's stupid. But yeah, the talk it's just like it's a talk in passing, but he's still like it's just they enjoy it because it's the storytelling that they're still attracted to, like what's going to happen next. Like, and so regardless of if you know that like the ending is kind of more predetermined, and like you still show up to see how they're going to get to the end of the story, right? And so it's the same reason why you come back and keep on watching it too.
Yeah, 100%. My son just found out that he can find the wrestlers' entrance music on Spotify, so he'll blast it through the speakers here at the house, and he'll go, "Oh, the Usos and I are coming out." And it's like he walks in, he goes, facing against you, Dad. And it's like, what's your entrance music? And he'll play me like Sami Zayn's or something. Okay, so I'm getting beat up tonight.
Dude, I used to, as a kid, before I got like I remember my first wrestling game. I had a couple on Nintendo. I didn't have any on Super Nintendo, but then Nintendo 64, I got WCW NWO Revenge. But before I had that, I had the action figures and I had the WWE CDs. So I would, as a kid, I would sit there and put the CD in and get to the track and pause it and then play and be like, oh, and here comes Kane. And I'd hit the button, and have them come out and stuff. Do y'all remember they had the weirdest fucking wrestling toys, but you could put water in them and hit a button and they would sweat?
No, the what?
Yeah.
I still have them. Yeah, you would hit like a little pump on the back and it would pump water like through the forehead through little holes. Well, I would put red food coloring in it and be like, oh, he's busted open. Oh my God, look at the blood.
Dang, I never had. So my mom would not buy me any like WWF, WWE. At the time it was WWF. None of those toys. What I would get was the Lucha Libre toys. So yeah.
From the dollar store?
Well, from Mexico. She would give me the ring, and I had like Mil Máscaras and El Dragon, like so, like they're big time wrestlers for Lucha Libre, which I still like. The badass. But at the time, it's like this is not the wrestlers I watch on TV. But I got the ring with the rubber bands around it. And you just jump on. It's like, ah.
Oh, see, I didn't even have that. I just used my bed. Like, I didn't have the toy ring or anything. But when you said that, Lathan goes from the dollar store, I remember seeing the wrestling toys, and it would be like El Tigre, Los Pantalones. Like, just put the masks on. They were all the same, just different designed masks and pants.
Yeah, same body.
All right, top 5. Your favorite top wrestlers. 5th being the lowest, but still badass, all the way to 1. Lathan, what is yours?
All right, so 5th one is going to be super controversial because given the climate of how he left this earth and who he took with him, but Chris Benoit, number 5.
Oh man! Oh, that's
Yeah.
so rough though.
It is.
I mean, how tarnished?
Listen,
How tarnished is his legacy? God, that one's a rough one.
it is.
Thou shall not
Yeah.
speak his name, but
Listen, so number 5 is name redacted due to circumstances. Number 4, Ric Flair. Number 3,
Ooh,
number 4, I'm okay with that. But the thing is, we don't know who number 3 is.
I'm gonna say 4 for Ric Flair seems kind of low to me, but again,
well, for context, so I'll put this in very context. So the ranking is just based off the top 5 wrestlers that have some kind of personal attachment to some part of my wrestling fandom, right? So, like,
Okay.
when I say Chris Benoit, I don't mean the human being that's a piece of shit that killed his whole family. I mean, like, the Chris Benoit that was in the Four Horsemen on Monday and WCW, then World Heavyweight Champion, and put on a clinic every time he stepped between the ropes. That Chris Benoit, like, superb athlete across the board, told the story in the ring and could always give you his best match and make everybody else in the ring better. Chris Benoit. So WrestleMania 20, Chris Benoit is the highlight.
Yes, there it is. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Ric Flair, because of his impact on everybody else that impacts as far as wrestlers backstage, how they are influenced by him naturally. And it's Ric Flair. Like, you have to put him up there because he's been he was the cornerstone of the NWA for so long and has such a huge lineage to wrestling over the years. And decade after decade, like, I watched wrestling when I was a child, and there's 3 wrestlers that stick out over my lifetime that I can spend watching it with both my grandpa, my dad, and now my son. Ric Flair is one of them. So that just show, like, it's just goes to show his talent and his ability to be such impactful wrestler over generations. The same wheeling, dealing, kiss stealing, limousine riding, jet, and son of a gun, So
What?
yeah, so that's Ric Flair. Now number 3 is probably now, that being said, number 3 is going to probably blow your mind because it's Hulk Hogan.
No, that makes sense.
I'm sort of noticing a pattern with his top 5 they're all controversial. They've all had something going on.
There's awful lot of honkies in this top 5.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's definitely a lot. Farouk is like 5 representation. So I remember Farouk back when he was wrestling on TV back then. This mean, tough son of a bitch. And then with him being a tag team with wrestler's name, but him being the first heavyweight champion that I could see myself emulating was kind of cool back in the day. So he's 6 technically.
Oh.
So it was always, Number 3 is Hulk Hogan because he's what I remember starting to get into wrestling, watching back in the day. Like when I first started seriously watching it again back in like 96, 97, when he was in WCW, that's what I remember being originally attracted to watching wrestling in the first place, right? So, because I'm familiar with Hulkamania of the '80s, and in WWE, but I wasn't a fan of Hulkamania until I saw him become Hollywood Hulk Hogan and WCW, and then that led me to go on to research more of the history of Hulk Hogan and stuff, and that's when it became even cooler to me, right? So he helped move the needle again for a couple different generations, and so he's always put on entertaining matches. Can't wrestle for shit most of the time, but definitely when like it was time to turn on, like you kind of were invested in like just the energy that he brought to the ring and how fans reacted to him, right? Whether it be good or bad at this point. Given aside his most recent history and some of the things he said while being secretly recorded, I mean, that just is what it is.
Hey, we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah. And so, that was crazy in itself, but like it doesn't take like it's not enough to take away from like what made me become a bigger wrestling fan now.
All right. So your last top two, Lathan, what you got going on?
Can you see me now?
Yep.
Can you see me now?
Hey, John Cena.
Turn that light off. We wouldn't be able to.
I know, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me.
No.
So, number two is a tie between John Cena and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh.
So what I said. Yeah.
I don't know about that, like a Stone Cold Steve Austin, John Cena tie, but I can see John Cena as top two.
Yeah. Like, listen, Art, so as much as he's forced down our throat, who always showed up and kept us entertained? And how much money did we really want to spend to see if this was the time that either he was going to turn heel or he was going to get defeated every time?
All right, just because you're reliable doesn't mean you're any good.
He's not. Well, that's being said, though, for 5 moves of doom he did have, he was entertaining on the mic. He did keep me interested in a very lackluster WrestleMania a few times over. And while he was ultimately reliable, the other part of it too was just like he was your champion for the time. Like you had a family friendly product. It don't get no more family friendly than Ernest on steroids. Just had to put it out there.
What about Scott Steiner?
Yeah. See, I can't rely on a big Papa Pump to be my WWE champion. But yeah, like listen, he's the one that turned a profit for the company in trying times. Like especially during the PG era, like half of that thing stunk. And it could have been just poor booking, but he had some really interesting matches that he could put on with the right wrestlers. Like between him and Edge, his feud with Randy Orton, like they were something to still look at. But at the same time, he did still keep people entertained. Like he kept adults entertained in one way and still kept children more entertained in a different way. If that makes sense.
I'll give him that.
I think after that time of like I spent years of not watching it, John Cena was probably one of those guys that brought me back in. Like him or hate him, like most of the time I spent like he's doing the same moves, but I was like, oh, I kind of enjoy something about his matches.
But you know what? To his credit, like, I mean, what you look back, Hogan's terrible. John Cena's better than Hogan. If John Cena would have been in that era, like he would have been the greatest wrestler of all time.
Yeah. And he's still and it's always that still argument, like, realistically, when it comes to like who are your money making headliners, your main eventers for like each generation. Like it was Hulk Hogan in the '80s, early '90s, right? Then there was Stone Cold in the late '90s, and then now who took up their mantle right afterwards, right? They were looking for somebody. John Cena randomly stepped up with a really terrible rap gimmick and made it work for some weird reason.
Yeah. All right, I'll give you credit for that one. Okay.
Number one, Lathan. Who's your number one?
Roman Reigns.
Oh,
He's lying. No way, I don't
No,
believe that.
no, I'm just kidding. Absolutely not.
son of a bitch.
I was like, and he's gone.
This isn't podcast roulette, but you know what? We're done.
This whole wrestling talk is gone.
You're uninvited from the WrestleMania party.
No, yeah, Roman Reigns is not number one. Roman Reigns is a talented character. He comes from a very awesome lineage of wrestlers, so he's had a lot of teeth in the games growing up and stuff, and he's become really awesome. Like I honestly, God, like half the reason I'm still keeping up with wrestling as much as I am right now is because my son makes me watch it all the time and make sure that we're watching clips of it, and this long-term storybooking that they've done with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline is phenomenal. Like it's super awesome. So I'm really interested to see how this plays out at WrestleMania. All together now. So that being said, though, number one favorite wrestler of all time, Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh shit! Wow.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna go Undertaker.
Me too. Undertaker's not even in your top 5.
He's honorable mention for sure.
Wow.
He's on the top 5. So he is so there's a whole different list I have for like when it comes to longevity. But like most of the Undertaker's actual career has always been mid card. He's been good to keep the mid card safe and to make a strong character for the main eventer, but not the main event himself, if that makes sense.
Okay, but you can't say that you appreciate The Undertaker because he's been kind of a mid-card match guy all the time and then put Macho Man as your number one. He was doing the exact same thing. Macho Man held Hulk Hogan up on his shoulders. WrestleMania 3, greatest match of all time, Macho Man and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Main event, Hogan and Andre. It's legendary. It is beyond the comprehension of how big of a match it was. But Macho Man and Randy and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat were the main event. They should have been the main event if it was an indie show, right?
Yep.
Macho Man was the backbone of wrestling without being the main event.
He always found a way to stay relevant, regardless of what the situation was. Even if that meant being a wacky. Undertaker also had the time of being relevant, but his is over the lineage of like, what's the best way of putting it? Like, I remember Undertaker in certain facets of my wrestling memories, right? Like, when he first came out as like literally the dead man, there was with the purple gloves and everything for fucking Survivor Series that gave me nightmares from when I was like 7 all the way up until I was 9, and that ghoulish motherfucker scared me. But like it's like, but like when I first started getting back into watching wrestling, like mid '90s, right? Like it was I was watching more Monday Nitro, and one of the bigger things was Macho Man was just coming over from WWF at the time, and he had some great he had some pretty decent matches. Then there's like a great space I won't talk about because there were some terrible matches with him and Hulk Hogan before he turned Hollywood Hulk Hogan. But like I can always remember, I can go to a Macho Man match, I could be honestly entertained for the most part from bell to bell without wanting to fast forward, get up, or want to go somewhere else. And like to put that in the relevancy of like the Ricky Steamboat match, right? Ricky Dragon Steamboat. That match, I can sit down to this day and watch bell to bell and still be constantly entertained.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, yeah, and like remember his feud with Diamond Dallas Page, and that helped kind of boost Diamond Dallas Page to that next level. Like I put like Undertaker, Macho Man, they're like kind of transitional wrestlers to help make the main like the next superstars look better. They're like really great accessory wrestlers. And you can put them in the mid card, they thrive. You can put them in the main event, they're going to be even awesome just as much too. It's just that for me growing up, Macho Man had more of a nostalgic impact than Undertaker did. Like the Undertaker is somebody I truly appreciated more as an adult, where like the child in me remembers Macho Man. I remember wanting to put tassels over my socks so I can have like boots like the Macho Man and shit, like wrestling as a kid in the backyard.
Look, we don't want to know what
for me,
you and Anna do on the weekends, man. I'm not.
It's very similar to snapping like a Slim Jim, brother.
I mean, I don't know how many times I still recall or try to do the Macho Man voice. So I think Macho Man definitely, yeah. Like it's definitely has to be. God, that like turns everything upside down. Because I wasn't even thinking like those kind of wrestlers. Also, I want to say this. Art, do not judge my 5. I'm not going to judge your 5 because we don't have another hour to spend on this. So, but I do like that we judge Lathan's 5 because I think that really it really threw us for a loop because I think our top 5 will be more like maybe predictable, aka Vince scripted it. But my top 5 are gonna be for sure. It has to be Kurt Angle for me.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
It's the first time I see a regular guy or another guy can come into the business and take over. Also, he was funny, weird, and I like that. Like he was good with being the butt of the joke. I will do a little more modern age and go Seth Rollins, number 4.
That's
Seth
good.
Rollins.
Yeah.
Third has to be a tie for Undertaker and The Rock.
Ah, come on. No, you got to play some, man.
I wish I want to, but the other two take bigger stance in my book. Like they're there.
I like to keep The Rock and Dwayne completely divorced of each other. I love The Rock. He's the most electrifying man in the ring and on the microphone. But Dwayne Johnson, horrible actor and super oversaturated on social media for all the wrong reasons.
That I still feel that in Austin, Texas, what is known as the Moody Center now. I first watched The Rock at my first event, and I know he pointed right at me and acknowledged me. So I know it was like he pointed at me, and I don't care what everybody else says in that row or behind me. He was pointing at me, and he pointed at me, and then he did that move. Number 2 is Shawn Michaels. You know, the showman that he is. I thought that was like one of the best. The jokes, the breaking the fourth wall with Triple H, but like just him. And then obviously everybody can guess from through this whole podcast. Stone Cold Steve Austin is my 1. And I will he's my number 1.
Oh shit! Damn it! That means it's
Hold
my
on,
turn.
Art. Before you go into it, we have to acknowledge before this is over with. Happy Austin 316 Day.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
we are recording on 316.
Oh man! All right. So hey
Did
guys,
you set this up the right way? You knew what you were doing.
I know what I'm doing. You know, I'm a professional. Joe Rogan status. Joe Rogan, I'm coming for you.
Guys, love you, brothers, and happy 316 day.
I'm gonna throw him this
Yeah,
way
hell
because PG era.
You gotta blur him out. Oh shit. Okay. All right. So my number 5, probably gonna be the most controversial out of all of the ones that we've named. Number 5, Vince McMahon.
Oh, okay.
That's fair. He is a
Yeah.
wrestler.
Random, weird.
Yeah.
I allow it.
So hear me. So his contribution as a wrestler has been, I mean, you look back to his matches with Stone Cold, you look back to all of his stuff as a character.
Oh, you almost gotta throw in Shane with him then.
No,
No.
fuck Shane. No, because Vince McMahon became the epitome of a bad guy. I mean, you look at before him, like, people had to do really bad shit to be a bad guy. You look at when Macho Man and Randy Savage and Jake the Snake Roberts had their feud. Fucking for Jake to be a bad guy, he had to have his fucking snake bite Macho Man. Like the effort that people had to go to be a bad guy. Vince McMahon was just playing an elevated character of himself as the boss, right? So I think to that is a huge contribution to the overall advancement of wrestling into what it was. So I put him as the number 5, right?
All right.
Number 4, Kevin Von Erich. In a time where everybody was so just, I mean, they were the muscle, there was no restriction on steroids, there was no anything. Everybody was just huge, and it was nothing more than flexing and body slams, right? Kevin Von Erich coming to the ring barefoot and going to the top rope, jumping off, being part of that dynasty at WCCW. I think he changed the game, and he introduced a lot of the high-flying moves without being lucha libre. Right?
Yeah.
Now from there, it gets a lot harder.
That's what she said.
Oh shit. Number 3. I know my top 2. My top 2 are simple. I'm gonna have to go with Kurt Angle as number 3. I think George kind of put it out there perfectly with it. His ability to go from bad guy when he first debuted. He was the Olympic hero, which everybody should cheer, but didn't. He was everything that people should have looked at and been like the guy, right? He was a better wrestler than Hulk Hogan, but he was the All-American. He was more of a real American than Hulk Hogan, right?
Right. He's an Olympic gold medalist by full definition.
With a broken freaking neck. I think he's got to be one of the most influential people of all time for me. And now we got to do, Lathan had a number 6 for Farouk. My number 6 would be Big Boss Man, again, being a cop's son. I thought it was cool to see a guy wearing a cop's uniform in wrestling. I think Hulk Hogan would be like my number 7 on my influential stuff, because I liked Hulk Hogan, but was never huge on him. Number 2, easy, is The Undertaker. Like, going back to the gray gloves, which was pre the purple gloves, because the purple gloves came after he was reincarnated. Survivor Series, being part of the $1 Million Team and all that. Loved it. That was still back when I was a kid being a wrestling fan. Loved The Undertaker, and he was able to maneuver and change himself enough that he adapted with the times. He never had to change his name. He didn't have to go from Hulk Hogan to Hollywood Hogan. He was The Undertaker the entire time.
Well, he did go into the American Badass kind of
right,
thing,
but he stayed The Undertaker.
Was dumb.
I liked it. To this day, the American Badass is one of my favorites, but he still was able to hold that name, The Undertaker. Being the American Badass was kind of the nickname. He was still The Undertaker. It still made sense to go from that back to the dead man at WrestleMania 20. He held on to that name, The Undertaker, the whole time, right? He was always The Undertaker. He will always be one of my favorites. Number one, the man who got me into pro wrestling, who I watched as a kid, and then later brought me back to pro wrestling. Mr. WrestleMania, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. The greatest person ever on the mic, in the ring. That dude could go toe-to-toe with The Undertaker, and then the next week go right up against freaking Taka Michinoku back in the 90s. Yeah, old school reference. Kids, look it up. His in 98 when he lost to Stone Cold Steve Austin, to go from what he did in the mid 90s to what he did in the early 2000s, phenomenal. Some of his, he was doing some of his best matches later in his career. There's not a lot of guys who can say that. Number one to me, always, Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels, baby. And you know what? I already forgot who I said was my top 4, and that's what I'm rolling with. So this episode is gonna come out right before WrestleMania. Right now, we're slated for Cody Rhodes against what's his name?
Lathan's number one. That was Mr. Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns.
The Tribal Chief. You better know
Tribal Chief. Oh, Mr. Tribal Chief. Oh, I hate that. It's so weird. Anyway, I like Roman Reigns. I hate the whole. Oh man. Oh, how do you not put what's his name? The manager right now.
Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman. How do you not put Paul Heyman in top 5 too? I'm just thinking that he's not a wrestler, but he's such he's a top guy for sure.
Well, yeah, but we could do another on the next.
No, we won't. We won't.
No. On the next podcast, we could do a top 5 managers. We could do a top 5 tag team.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
But Paul Heyman and being a Paul Heyman guy is such a great thing. Paul Heyman is a badass.
Yeah, your boy CM Punk was a Paul Heyman guy.
Well, he needed Paul Heyman for sure.
Listen, Paul Heyman was a strong accessory to CM Punk's success.
But my thing is, this is going to be out before WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, who takes it? I will tell you what mine's going to be, but I want to know who you think is going to take it, or who do you think they're going to let take?
Oh, come on, man. You ain't got to play it like that.
Well, there's controversy with all that, but that's why I want to get into it. I want that controversy.
Ooh. All right.
What's going to happen? Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns?
Lathan, who you got, Bubba?
All right, I'll let you start. I want to hear your prediction on this because mine's isn't a prediction; it's a spoiler. So
My name is
Oh.
Paul Heyman.
Listen, I know how this movie's going to end. But I want to hear what Art has to say first.
So, I think everybody's expecting Cody Rhodes to win. I think that's the expectation. I think what's going to happen is they're going to go into the match. They're going to fight. They're going to win. And the winner will be Cody Rhodes. That was a Stardust reference. If y'all don't get that. I think Cody Rhodes is going to win. However, I don't think he's going to win the unified championship. I think the Monday, Friday, whatever, after WrestleMania, Roman Reigns is going to come out still holding one title. And he's going to say, oh, no. This wasn't for both championships. He earned a right to face me for one. And they're going to split the titles. I think Cody Rhodes is going to try to bring back the Winged Eagle Championship, which, God, that's my favorite title of all time. I hope he does. But I think there's going to be some kind of shenanigans that goes into it because Backlash is going to be in Puerto Rico. So they got to have a big name, which I think they want to take Roman Reigns to Puerto Rico as a champion. But I don't think he's going to be the unified champion.
Interesting.
Damn, that's actually probably better than mine.
That sounds like super spoiler alert.
Right?
So,
Should we have thrown Logan Paul in one of our top fives? Listen, I kind of like his wrestling.
there's a whole other podcast I can do on Logan Paul.
No, he's actually really good. He's
What?
a lot better than he should be.
Oh, yeah, because he has specialized personal training for like 6 months from Shawn Michaels. I mean, how privileged is that to do? Just to start your WWE career, start your career as a wrestler in total, and get trained by one of the greatest wrestlers ever.
The greatest wrestler ever, sir.
All right, Lathan, do you want to give your prediction or should I give mine?
I'll let you give yours first.
All right.
Because we're going to argue about mine. So
Okay. Okay, yeah, then fine. My prediction's gonna be that the way everything looks on TV, it looks like it's going for Cody Rhodes. And I'm all for the American Nightmare. I'm all
oh,
I saw that. Like
I saw that.
on the screen.
shit.
And
It legit looked like it hit inside your car.
Ow!
so it actually hit right, about 2 stoplights up from my car, so about 200 feet away. But it literally just one of the power lines, and all my lights on my street just went black.
I just got
Oh.
I just got the thunder from it.
Yeah. So it was a nice little. It was an Undertaker lightning type of strike. Damn it.
Spoiler
Sorry
alert,
for the-
Undertaker comes in, wins the match.
Yeah.
I'm going Cody Rhodes, man. I'm going Cody Rhodes. I want Cody Rhodes to win. I want him to get what he deserves. I want him to beat his Stardust persona. I want him to get what he deserves. I wanted Roman Reigns to get what he deserves. And he's had it for a while, man. I need somebody else.
2.5 years.
All right, Lathan, controversial pick. Who are you picking?
Roman Reigns. Now I will say that the main event will be a really good one-on-one match for the most part, and then it will get really dirty really quickly, and then everybody's going to leave upset because Roman Reigns is going to leave with both titles, going into Puerto Rico's Backlash. And so, but that does lead up to continuing the storyline even further and putting more different storylines attached to that title in itself. Roman Reigns is part-time. We already know that by this point. He's not going to do a lot of TV appearances anymore, but when he does, he's still remarkable. And they have opportunity to let it breathe probably into SummerSlam, where Cody Rhodes can have an even bigger impact on winning one of the titles because it goes further into the good guy chasing the title and always being just like right out of arm's reach for him to actually grab the title. And if like with Cody Rhodes as a character and as a behind the scenes helping out with his character's storyline, he's always about the underdog and making sure eventually the payoff's going to be even more momentous. Like we expected at WrestleMania, but again, with this new Triple H era, it's like a lot of things have been unexpectedly awesome. And how cool would it be to actually unexpectedly have him win it at SummerSlam finally, instead of it automatically being like we already know that he's going to win it for WrestleMania. Like that's the odds. That's what everybody thinks. That's what everybody believes. Like there is a very small minority that actually believes that Roman Reigns is still going to hold on to those titles after WrestleMania.
I'm down with that. I'm down with that storyline. A lot better than Art's crazy story about one title, one win nonsense.
Oh,
yeah.
Fuck you.
I was all in for you, Art, but that makes way more sense.
God, Lathan.
No, that being said, Art,
I don't want it to happen that way, but it makes way too much sense.
I'm just saying because I forget that WWE should not be, hopefully still not being run by Vince. So if it is still run by Triple H, I can see that. And I will rather 100% go to that because I would love the unpredictability come back to wrestling.
Damn it, Lathan. You laid out a damn good track for stuff to go, and I don't like it.
Think about it like this, Art. This would be the first time Roman Reigns will main event at WrestleMania where he wins and makes sense on the storyline level, and he'll genuinely get booed for the character, not because he had a shitty match with like a part-time wrestler.
Dude, he would be booed out of that fucking stadium.
Oh, it'd be glorious. Like it was just as big as the boos were in San Antonio. It's gonna be even greater on WrestleMania.
I'm 100% for it. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we've just gone too hard, too fast. WrestleMania, we're coming for you, baby.
Boom.
It's out there. I'm no longer ashamed with letting people know that I am a wrestling fan.
We are out of the closet.
We're out here, baby. We out here.
That's right.
And you know what? Whatever happens at WrestleMania, the only thing I know that is going to happen is I'm going to eat some really good pizza at Art's house and some really good food. We'll be out here, all three of us together, all squished up, having a great time.
Yep, that's right.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye,
you guys.
Dig 'em, and thank you for having me.
Oh, anytime, guys.
It's always a pleasure talking to y'all, gentlemen.